Hi, this is Manish Pandey. Welcome back. Version control system. In this video, I will explain what is version control system, how that works and how it is important for UiPath projects and what are the popular version control systems supported by UiPath. Now let's understand what is version control system. Version control system is also known as source code management system and the revision control system. Version control system is a software tool that helps developers manage changes to the source code over the time. It allows multiple developers to collaborate on a project simultaneously, keeping track of every modification made to the code base. Let me explain the version control system in a simple word. Version control systems are a category of software tools basically that helps in recording changes made to the files. You can say workflow files, YAML files, by keeping a track of modification done in the code along with the information like who made and what changes have been made. By tracking who made which changes and when, version control increases the transparency and the accountability within your team. Let's understand how it is important for UiPath projects and how this version control works. So let's suppose you are a developer and there is a UiPath project assigned to you and you are a single developer. Let's say you have just created one project with the help of RE framework template. Okay, you started doing the changes in the main YAML file, process YAML file. You started creating the multiple workflow files. Now you are not worrying about the keeping a backup of that files every time whenever you are doing the modification or you are deleting something from the previous workflow. Now you have like almost completed that project and you don't have the backup of that projects. Today you make changes in the projects. Tomorrow you realize that one, or you are trying to run that specific workflow or you are trying to run that project, but now you are not getting the required output, that expected output. But after that you realize that you notice that the code which was written earlier it was working fine, right? So now you want to just undo that one, right? But now it is not possible because yesterday itself you deleted that one and you saved that projects, you tried running that one. So now you don't have the copy of that project here. Today if you're trying to do control Z undo, you will not able to do that. So there you will find an issue. Now let's say you are the one developer is every time doing a copy of that files. So you have just copied that files, copied the projects every time you are making changes. So let's say after 10 minutes you just copied the projects and you kept somewhere. After 10 minutes, after 1 hour or end of the day, you just copied that the complete projects and you kept somewhere as a backup. Now every time you're just creating a backup of those files every time and then storing somewhere. So first there is a problem while managing all the versions of that code. Sometimes what happens, you are planning to delete also, let's say to save the spaces on your local storage, you're going to delete the backup of the files and by mistake you deleted wrong projects which was like recently modified, then that can be issue that will lose your work. So this was about the tracking changes, this was about the version controls, keeping the backup of the files, those things. Now in this situation the version control system plays a vital role in the project management. You can even divide the task. You and your colleague, your team member, discuss the project requirements and decide to divide the task. Now you will work on developing the PDF extraction workflow while your team member, your colleague will focus on the database integration or the Excel automations part. And then at the end you can merge the projects. So by this way, The team members can collaborate on the same projects. It's not only keeping your XML file organized, but also improves productivity by making the development process smooth. There are popular version control systems supported by UiPath, which help us in the project management. Git is one of the most popular distributed version control system. We have SVN, that is also called Subversion. Subversion is a centralized version control system. And then we have TFS. TFS, the full form is Team Foundation Server. This is the Microsoft product, which is also known as Azure DevOps. What is Git? What are the features of Git and how it works? And what are the platforms available in the market to use Git? What is Git? Git is one of the most popular open source distributed version control system that helps you manage changes and collaborate with others when working on a UiPath projects. It keeps track of all the different versions of your project so you can always go back to an earlier version if something goes wrong. Let's understand the feature of Git in simple terms and relate it to the UiPath automation. Here I'll be just taking the examples of UiPath automations. Imagine you are building a UiPath project to automate invoice processing for your company. Now you will start this by creating a project in UiPath Studio. So as you start working on the project, you make changes to your workflow, you add few activities, you modify the things to make them work just right. Git helps you keep track of all these changes by recording each step you take. And this includes who made the change, when it was made, and what was changed. This information is valuable for debugging, troubleshooting, and for auditing purpose, that is tracking changes. Now sometimes you want to try out a new feature. You want to do an experiment with a different approach without affecting the main project. So Git lets you create a separate branch for these experiments so that you can work on them without affecting the rest of your project. And if an experiment fails or any issue, it can be easily discarded without impacting the rest of the project. That is called branching. Let's say your colleague is working on the same project. With Git, you can both work on different parts of the project at the same time without getting in each other's way. That is called collaboration. Once you all completed your task and tested the workflow, now after that you have to merge that changes back to the main branch. That is called merging. Now sometimes things don't go as planned and you accidentally break something in your project, then no problem. Git provides the ability to go back to an earlier version of your project. And this ensures that the project can be quickly restored to a known, or you can say a stable version. That is called rollback and recovery. UiPath projects often involve reusable components such as workflows, activities, and libraries. So version control allows developer to store, organize, and share these components within the team. That is called code reusability. Now after that we have code review. So before merging your changes back to the main project, you can review each other's work and leave the comments or suggestions. And this helps ensure that everything is working correctly before it is adding to the main project. And this ensures that the best practices are followed and the code quality is maintained. Now what are the platforms available to use Git? So I have just noted down few. We have GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, and then there are few more we have in the market like Azure repos. I will show you how to create your first GitHub repository, but before that I will show you what is GitHub and how to create an account. What is GitHub? GitHub is a web-based platform where developers and teams can store, manage, and collaborate on their projects using Git version control system. It is a place where you can store projects, keep track of the changes, and work with the other people on the same project. Let me show you how to create an account in GitHub. So this is GitHub website. You have to enter github.com and then this page will be appeared. Now to create an account, we have here two options. Either you can put the email address here and then click on sign up. Second, you have this sign up button. You need to enter the email ID which you are going to use to sign up for the GitHub. Okay, let me copy this. Click on sign up. Okay, so welcome to GitHub. Let's begin the adventure. Okay, it has already taken this email ID from the previous screen, and now you can see the green button. So green button shows that this email ID is valid and ready to use that. Click continue. And now here we need to set a password. So let me enter the password here. Try to make a strong password here. Okay, now it shows that password is strong. Let me click continue. Here we need to choose a username. So let me put here UiPath RPA, and it seems like UiPath RPA is not available. So I will put like this UiPath underscore RPA. So let me, so this is also not available. So I will do one thing. I will put a different name, UiPath RPA hyphen GIT, and let's see. So it shows that UiPath RPA hyphen GIT is available. So this is ready to use. Now click on continue. I'm not going to check this. So click on continue. And now we have to verify our account. So just wait for a few seconds. Okay. So please solve this puzzle. So we know you are a real person. Okay. So we just need to um, verify this account by just solving the puzzles. Let me click on verify that. And quickly I will solve that and then we'll reach to the next step. Okay. Now we have one code received in our email ID. So let me go to this Gmail, and you can see here I just now received this email, that is the launch code. Let me copy this and go to this verify page and paste here, and automatically it will redirect to the next step. And then here we just need to give some information here, like who is going to access that, how many team members will be there. So you can see how many team members will be working with you. So it is just me for now. Are you a student or teacher? So I will say I am a student. Click continue. Click on continue. So I'm not going to take the benefit for now. I will just go with the free. So scroll down, click on continue for free. We have a skip also option. So now we are on the dashboard page. You can see here left side we can see create repository. Now what is repository? Let me show you. Repository, in short form we can say repo, is like a folder or a storage where you keep all the files and folders related to a project. A repository usually groups together items that belongs to the same project or thing you are working on. Let me show you how to create a repository and what is the best practice of creating a repository. So you can see here we have a button to create a repository. Now there are other way also. The first is this. Second, you can see here in the center of this page. Third, you can click on this icon and then go to this your repository or your profile. You will get, and then you will get option here, this repository, and then click on new, and then you will be able to create a new repository. Now let me go back to the home page. Now we'll just scroll down a little bit here in the between, and then you can see here we can enter the repository name and then we can create a new repository. Now what is the best practice of creating a repository in the GitHub? First, the naming convention. The naming convention for your repository depends on various factors, including the nature of the project, your organization's naming conventions that your company follows, and the personal preferences. Always choose the meaningful name of your repository and make sure the name accurately reflects the purpose or the focus of the project. You can create multiple repositories here based on your requirement and based on your projects. Let me put here name. Try to use lowercase letters and hyphens or underscore to separate the words. So let me put here, let's say I'm going to say UiPath underscore. So I'm going to put a space. So instead of putting a space here, I'm going to put here hyphen, this underscore. If you are not putting any underscore hyphen and you will just put a space here and then anything. So what will happen? Automatically this space will be filled by hyphen. You can see it will be created like this, UiPath hyphen D. So better I can use like hyphen D or underscore. So I'm going to put a name here, UiPath underscore first GitHub repo. Okay, or you can put like first GitHub repo, just like this, right? So this is my first repository name that I am going to create. Now here we have two options, that we have public and private. If you want to keep this repository private, then you can select this. Otherwise, if you want this repository to be accessible by public also, so you can click on this public. Now I'm going to select this public and create new repository. And you can see here the repository has been created here now. We will cover how to integrate GitHub with UiPath. Let me open UiPath Studio first. So here in UiPath Studio, let's say the first step is to create a project. So I have already created a project here. Now you need to connect UiPath project with the GitHub. Now before that, we are going to set up this one. So let's do it here. You can see here right side down there is a option that is add to source control. It means you can add this project to the source control. Source control, Git, SVN, TFS, like that. You will have already learned from the previous video. If you have not seen that video, please go through that first. Now if you click on this, you can see we are getting all these options here. Git, init, copy to Git, add to TFS, add to SVN. So we are getting all these options here. Why? Because all these options already enabled on this UiPath Studio in my machine. Now let me show you how to enable or disable these options. You can go to Home, click on Teams, and here you can see we are getting all these options, right? For Git there are 5 options, for TFS there are 4 options, and for SVN 4 options. So for this video series we are going to use Git. Let me show you from where we can disable or enable these options. If you don't want this TFS and SVN on this page, you can go to Tools, click on Plugins, and here you can see these 3 are enabled. You just need to disable this one by one and it will restart your UiPath Studio. And then you will see only Git on this Teams page. Now let me go back to Teams here. And you can see here there are 5 options. Clone repository, which is used to clone a remote Git repository. You must be aware of this word clone. Clone means basically duplicate a repository. So using this clone repository, you can download or you can copy the remote repository to your local system. Second, we have copy to Git, which is used to copy the current project to an existing Git repository. We have Git init, which is used to add the current project to a new local Git repository. Now adding the current project to the new local Git repository, that means by using Git init, you can initialize the Git. And what will happen if you initialize the Git? You can create a local Git repository for a project. It means for this project for which we are going to use Git init. And once you create a local repository, you will be able to push your files to the remote repository. Now we have disconnect. Disconnect current project from the source control. Currently this is disabled and will be enabled once the project is connected with the source control. We'll see this option later. Once we'll connect our project with the source control with the Git. Now the last one we have change signature. This is also disabled. This is used to change the commit signature. So you heard two words, local repository and remote repository. Now what is local repository? A local repository is hosted on a local machine for an individual users, and it is local folder that resides on your local machine. When you initialize a Git repository, it creates a hidden Git directory that you can find like .git that inside your project folder. So here you will see that. Let me open this project folder from this file explorer, and then here you will see that .git folder. To see that Git here, click on this view menu and then click on hidden items. So here you will see that hidden folder, that is .git. Now what is remote repository? A remote repository is the place where your code is stored remotely, and that could be your repository on platform like GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, etc. Or it could be completely different server. Now let me show you how to initialize the Git first. First, we are going to create our local repository, and then we'll able to move that to the remote repository, right? So first, understand the concept, create a local repository, and then that repository you will move to the remote. So for that, we'll go to home, we'll click on Git init. So till now, there is no required to use any platform to connect your project with the GitHub or any other source control platform. So first, it is asking you to select the current project. So our project is this one, first process underscore git repo. We'll select this parent folder. This is the main folder. Now once we'll click on that, you will see here we are getting all the files which is by default checked. We have option select all. So by using this, you can select all these files, select none, nothing will be selected. You will click on that, right? Now select all to select all this. So unversioned files. So if you uncheck this, there is no file here because these are unversioned. We have not even not created anything, right? Currently we are going to initialize. This is the first step. So we'll go with this. So unversioned files. There is no version created for this project. So we'll check this first. Now here we have a commit message. And what is commit basically? Commit means you are going to save this file, save this project and the files to the local repository. But before committing, you have to enter the message, and this message will help for the tracking changes purpose, right? You remember the features of Git. So for that you have to put here the details of that, like why you are going to make the changes. So first time I'm saying that it's the first time you are saving this one. Now here we have three buttons: commit and push, commit and cancel. Cancel, you know that this is just it will just cancel this process. Now commit. Commit means it will save this project to your local repository. And now the third one we have commit and push. If we'll directly click on this, so it will not only save the files, these files to the local repository, but also it will help you to push these files to the remote repository. So mostly people choose here commit and push, directly like save that files to the local repository and push that to the remote also. We'll click on commit first. Now you can see here, once you click that button, that commit, you will see few changes on your project. You can see here, this is the icon and this icon, and once you right click on this, you see few options available here. Here also you can see one unpushed commit. It means the first time one changes we did, and only one commit which is still not pushed to the remote. Here you can see no pending changes. Now here you can see the project name. Here you can see the branch name. This is the main by default. You can manage the branches also. We have refresh remote branches, manage the remotes, pull and push. Now just to verify that local Git repository is created or not, you have to go to your project folder, and then you can see here this is hidden. If you click on this one, you will not see. But once you click on hidden item, this checkbox from the view menu, you will see this git, and it has few folders and files available. Now let me go back to the studio. Now go to home, and you can see from the teams, you can see disconnect and change. These two options now enabled. If you click on disconnect, so now this time it will just disconnect this project from the Git. Now it's time to push the file to the remote repository. And for that, we should have a remote repository. So we are going to use a platform to use this Git is the GitHub. For that, you have to open a browser. You have to log into this github.com. If you have an account, then you can just log into the sign in into this one. If you don't have an account, you can just create an account. If you don't know how to do this one, just go through my previous video. Now the next step, you have to create a repository on this platform. This is the dashboard. This is the first GitHub repository, the remote repository. You can see I have created. If you don't know how to create that, just go through the previous video. Let me open this one. Let me click on that. So after logging into this GitHub, you have to create a repository. If you already have that, so you have to go to this, open this repository, and then you will see one URL. And using this URL, we'll be able to connect this GitHub with the UiPath Studio with your project. So we'll just copy this, and then you have to go back to the UiPath Studio and then click on this main branch. You can see this branch. Click on push. Push means we are just moving this. We are sending this file to the remote repository. Click on push. And now here you can see manage remotes. You have to enter the URL which you just now copied from GitHub. Here in this name, you need to enter the remote repository name. So we'll go to this and we need to copy this name. So let me copy this from here. Right click, copy, and just paste that. Now click on add. So this repository we have just now added here. Now click on save. Now once we'll save this, this will push the changes. It means these files to the GitHub platform, that is github.com. Now you can see here, once you'll click on that, it is asking you to authorize that. So you can see UiPath, by UiPath would like permission to access this one. So you can verify the details. So click on authorize. If you will not authorize, you will not able to connect GitHub with the UiPath Studio. So we have to authorize this one. So click on authorize. So from here you have to open this. So let me click on open link. And by doing this one, it's going to sign in. Now you can see the access to the GitHub repository was denied. Please make sure that UiPath GitHub application is installed and configured for your account. You may install it at this path. So you have to go to this, open this URL. It will redirect to you one page here, and then you have to install this UiPath. So we are going to select for all repository, not for the selected one, so that we can use this later on also. So we'll click on install. So it's going to install this UiPath. Now you have to enter your credentials here. Let me confirm. Okay, I just now log into this one, and now you can see here, okay, UiPath was installed on this account. So this is like a connector to connect GitHub with the UiPath Studio. Now we'll go back to the UiPath Studio again. We'll close this, and you can see here this is already signed in here. Now we just need to click OK. Okay, so now we just now move the files to the remote repository. From here you can verify. We are not getting any count here. It's showing 0. It means there are currently no unpushed commit. And from here you can see we are getting sign out from GitHub. It means we have already sign in into this one. And you can see the branch also changed here. Earlier it was just a main. Now it is showing your repository slash main. It means inside your repository there is a main branch. To verify that you have successfully push this project to the remote repository or not, just go to this, click on your repository, click refresh, and you can see here updated 1 minute ago. Click on this your repository. There are 3 folders and 2 files have been moved to this remote repository, and this is the message, this is the commit message which we have added while pushing the files to the GitHub, the remote repository. And by looking at this message, anyone can understand these files have been moved as a part of the first version of first deployment, right? So now you have successfully created a local repository and the remote repository, and you have also moved your files from local repository to the remote repository. I hope there is no confusion now. We will learn how to clone remote Git repository. Let me open UiPath Studio. So here you can see the option clone repository, which is used to clone a remote Git repository. It means we already have a repository available remotely. It means on GitHub, and then we just need to clone that one. It copy the same repository locally. So for that we'll be using this one. You know that we already have option to download as a zip file, and then we can open that in UiPath Studio. But it can be a time taking process, right? But you know that you are going to use UiPath Studio to work on that repository, then why you will go through all this process to download the zip file, unzip that package, and then open in the UiPath Studio like that? You already have option in the UiPath Studio to clone that, and it just clones a remote Git repository. It means which is already available on GitHub. It will just download the copy of the same file, open in the UiPath Studio, and also create a local repository in your system. So we'll be using this one. Now, what is the purpose of using this clone repository? So let's say your team is already working on one of the process, and they have already developed the project using RE framework, or they have already developed a project. Now you want to also download that just to go through the code, or you just want to modify in that code, you just want to add some features to that code so that you can deploy. Let's say you have to fix some bugs on that, so you'll just go download this. It means clone that repository, modify that, and then just commit that. It means commit locally and then remotely also. So for this purpose we can use this clone repository. Now let me show you how to do this one. So for that, you know that we should have a existing remote Git repository. So if you don't know how to create that one, or you don't know how to add the project from local to the remote, you can go through the previous video. Now let me click on clone repository. Now once you click on this clone repository, you will get this window, this pop-up, where we need to clone a remote Git repository. We need to choose any one option from here, either SSH or HTTPS. I'm going to use clone using HTTPS, which is by default. I think we have repository URL. It means here we need to enter the URL which you are going to clone. Second is checkout directory. Checkout directory is the folder directory to your local system where you want to download that, or you want to create a local repository for the existing remote Git repository. Here we have option use credentials. It means you want to sign in with the GitHub, or you are going to use the user or name or password or token to sign into that one. Now in this repository URL we need to enter the URL. Now how you can find out that? So let me open github.com. So this is github.com. I'm already on the dashboard page. Now we need to find out the repository which I want to clone. So if you want to search any repository from the public, you can search that name, and you will get, might be if you search UiPath, you will get lots of repository here. You can just clone that one. But now for this video, for this series, I'm going to use this repository which I have already created here. So I'm going to use this one, UiPath underscore first GitHub hyphen repo. Okay, so this is the path that I need to use. I will copy this one and I will just paste here. And at the end, we need to add here .git. So you can do it like this, or the second option you have, click on code by going to this repository, click on code and then click on HTTPS and then copy this one. You can see, just let me paste here just to compare. You can see same as this, right? Only the additional thing that we have .git. Okay, so you can just use any one. Here we have to enter the checkout directory. So I'm going to use this folder. On my desktop there is a UiPath folder, this one. Now here you can see we have option to open that one. Now one more thing you need to understand here. If I'll just remove this UiPath, now this button is disabled. Why? Because the error message is the checkout directory is not empty. It means this directory, this folder should be empty. Then only it can create the, it can just download the repository locally, and then it can create a local repository here. And then underscore, I might use this just same as that repository name. So I'll just paste like this, right? Now, before clicking on open, one more thing. If you don't have internet access, you will not able to clone a remote Git repository. It means if you want to download the repository from remote to locally, you should have the internet access. Let me show you that. So let me disconnect that. Now let me click on open and you can see, make sure that remote is available and try again. Now let me connect this. So I have just connected this internet. Now let me click on remote and then let me paste it again here. Sorry, let me copy that local directory slash, and I'm going to use that same repository name. This is not necessary to add, but you can keep any folder name which is empty. Now click on open. Now it's going to checking out and is going to use your credential to sign in into the GitHub, this one. And we have already like given the access to this UiPath Studio, and this we have authorized that, you know, that we have already connected this GitHub and UiPath Studio. So there's no issue. Here you can see it has already downloaded. It means cloned this one, and it has already created this folder inside this UiPath. And now you can see here, click on hidden items and a local repository created also. And now you can modify that one and you can start making changes, and you can again commit the changes and you can push that changes to the remote Git repository. By this way you can clone remote Git repository. We will learn how to copy the current project to an existing Git repository. In UiPath Studio, if you can see here, we have an option copy to Git, which is used to copy the current project to an existing Git repository. Means you have already a local repository. So this existing Git repository is not for the remote Git repository. This is for the local Git repository. So if you already have a local Git repository, then you can just copy your project to the existing Git repository, which is not already added to the local repository. Now you'll have a question that why this is not enabled here, why we are not able to click on this. It's because first we have to open a UiPath project. Okay, so let me click on open, and I'm going to open the same project which we have used for this GitHub video demo. Now we'll go back to home again and click on team. Now you can see here we have these three options which is enabled, but this copy to Git is still not enabled for us. Why? is because I told you that this option will allow you to copy the current project to an existing local Git repository which is not already added to the local repository. So if you'll see this project which we have just opened, this is already added to the local repository. To work with this copy to Git option, we have to first close this current project and open a project which is not already added to the local repository. So I'm going to take this one, this project, select the project, click open. Now you can see here, this project is not added to the local Git repository. You can see here there is no symbol. Now go to home and you can see from Teams, this is now enabled. It means now we can copy this project to the existing Git repository. Okay, so now we'll click on copy to Git and let's see what is going to happen. So once we'll click on that, it shows that if you continue, the current project will be closed. It means the project which we have just now opened, that will be closed. So click on continue and now it is going to ask you, please select an existing Git repository folder where you want to copy this project. Now I want to copy this project, basically this for each file and folder activity, to the existing Git repository. So for that I have to search that. So this is the repository which is already added to the local repository. So this is the folder. So we need to select that one. Click select folder. But before that, let me go back to again here. Now let's say this is the UiPath folder. I'm just going to select that. So what is going to happen? You can see it shows that the selected folder is not within the hierarchy of a Git repository. It means the folder that you selected, that has no Git repository. It means that .git folder is not there. So it means that is not a local Git repository. So we have to select a different one. So let's try with other one. Let's say I'm going to check this one, get set and clipboard like this. Again, this is not added to the local repository. Now we'll select this one, first process underscore git repo, select the folder. And now you can see here, it worked fine. Now we have another pop-up. Would you like to open the project from the new location? If you select yes, so it will now open the project that from this new location. It means now you can see here this folder, the project which we opened, this one, this has been now added to this first process git repo, this project. So let's try with yes, and now you can see here, now it's going to open this process from here, and you can see here we have a pop-up for the commit changes. And why we are getting this for commit changes? Because we just now moved this project folder to the current local repository, and now we have not saved that. It means we have to first commit the changes, then only we can save these files, you can say this project, to the local repository, and then only we can push that to the remote repository. You need to enter the commit change, that message. So we can say copy project to existing repository, right? You can add few more details so that like later on you can identify like why you did this changes. Now you can just click on commit, and now you can see this has been added successfully to the local repository. And now if you're planning to send these changes to the remote repository, you can now push that changes to the remote repository. Okay, so by this way you can copy the current project to the existing Git repository. I'm going to show you how to change commit signature. We will be using this option, change signature. We have this project which is already available in local repository and the remote repository. Now while doing any changes, we need to commit, right? While committing the changes, we need to enter the commit message, and then once we will commit that, your name will be appeared in this local repository and the remote repository, right? So your name and your email ID will be also available. So it means who made the changes and what changes has been made. Here I'm going to just modify few things. I have just added one more log message here, and I'm writing here UiPath GitHub integration change commit signature, right? This I am going to just modify. Now currently I'm not getting any changes here because I have not saved that. So first I need to save this project in UiPath Studio. So let me press Ctrl S, and now this has been saved here, and you can see here the yellow color icon that shows that there is a change here. Right click on this one and click on commit. Now while committing these changes, we need to put the commit message. Okay, so I'm saying like um, added log message for change commit signature. Okay, and now I'm going to click on commit and push so that it will also save the changes to the local and remote repository. So click on commit and push. Okay, so this has been saved locally and remotely also. Now let me refresh this from the GitHub. So you can see here this is the repository that we have, and here you can see recently just now uipathrpa-git, this is the username. It has just now added log message for change commit signature. So here you can see the author name, the name is showing as a uipathrpa-git, and then if you click on this history, so you can see here the multiple authors. Like from here you can see this ID, this username uipathrpa-git. Here you can see MP Gupta, some other name is showing here. Here uipathrpa-git. So this change signature is helpful when you are collaborating with the other team members, like you are working on other any projects where multiple team members are working on that. So this changes is done by this user, this changes is done by this user, like that you can track the changes. Right now here we are getting uipathrpa-git, which is actually my username. If you want to change your author name, then you have to go to home and click on change signature. Now you can see here the name is showing UiPath space RPA and the email ID is used this one. Now if you want to change this name and this email, you can do that also. Let me show you. So here I'm just removing this one, and instead of putting UiPath RPA, I'm going to put my name Manish Pandey. Okay, and then I will just keep my email ID same as that, and now I will show you what is happening here. So click OK. Just now change the signature. Now let me add one more time this one, and here I'm saying change name. Okay, save this, right click here, click on commit, and now I'm writing the message as change my name, that is Manish Pandey. Now we'll click on commit and push. Okay, so for now I'm getting this authentication failed. Let me try clicking OK again. Okay, so for now we are getting this error, so no problem. Do one thing, just sign out for now. It happens sometime here. Now let me close this and just sign in again. Okay, so we have just now signed in again. Now click OK. Okay, so this has been now saved again. Just go to this repository, and then you can see here the changes, the change commit name that changed my name, this name, but still I am getting UiPath RPA-git. I will show you why I'm still getting my name, this user ID which is showing here. Now the changes where we can see the changes where I just changed my author name, the name. Just to see that, you have to right click on this project, click on show history, and then you can see here the author name Earlier it was UiPath RPA. When I changed that commit signature, it was UiPath RPA. Now the author name has been changed from UiPath RPA to Manish Pandey. So these changes you can see here. Now the author has been changed, that you can see in UiPath Studio. But in the remote repository here, we are still getting that UiPath RPA-get. How can we change that? So let's say some other person is using that. It means they are collaborating on this same project and they are just doing the modification, committing again. Then what will happen? Their email ID will be showing here. As you can see previously here, if any other person is going to commit changes on that project and going to publish here, then their username will be showing here. User ID will be showing here. Now how can I change that one? So for that I have to go to home again, click on change signature, and let's say here my email ID is this one, UiPath R. And now let's say I'm going to change my name from my email ID from uipathr at gmail.com to manish at gmail.com, this one, right? And I know that this is my email ID, correct? Then I can change that. Basically this is not suggested one. If you are the real person, then try using that. Otherwise what will happen here, GitHub will automatically try to find this email ID with the GitHub account and it will put that signature. Let me try with this. Click OK and let's add name here, change email ID. Okay, now save that, right click, commit the changes and write here I changed email ID, commit and push. Okay, now we'll right click on this, click on show history, and here you can see the author name is same, right? We have not changed the author name, but we have just modified the email ID. So for that you can see here and just refresh this, and now you can see here the email ID has been changed, the username has been changed with the MP Gupta. It means I'm not the real person, but I have just changed that email ID in my UiPath Studio, but automatically the GitHub has identified as a different username. This is Manish Gupta someone, and then it has taken that one and updated that this person has modified that. But actually this person has not modified this one. He has not worked on this project. Only I have worked on that, but I changed the email ID. That's why here I can see the changes history that this person has modified this file, this specific file. You can see that here, main XML file, and that we can say this is wrong, right? So always, if you are the real person, try to put that correct email ID there. Now let's say I'm going to change that again, and now instead of putting like this, I'm saying okay UiPath. So only I'm going to put, instead of putting UiPath R, I will say only UiPath, and now click OK. Now changed email ID to UiPath. Okay, now save, right click, commit again, and you can see changed to UiPath. Commit and push. So here you can see after I think 2 or 3 commit, it shows that authentication failed. It means we have to sign out and then sign in again. So might be this is for the free version, free account. We have the limitation. Okay, we just now signed in and click OK. So don't worry about that one. Okay, now right click here and click on show history, and you will see here the name is same but email ID has been changed. So for that we'll go and refresh this, and this time you will see here the email ID has been changed and it is showing only Manish Pandey. Basically, this is my name. It is showing only author name. Now click on the commit history, and you can see here earlier when I put only Manish at gmail.com, so it has taken this user ID. And if you'll click on this one, you'll see this is basically not that email ID. For this person, the user ID is different one, I believe. It's Manish at coinbase.com, right? But I put only Manish at gmail.com. But I don't know how it has just connected with this one and updated. So that this is the bug of this GitHub, we can say. This is an issue, right? I have modified to uipath at gmail.com as a email ID, and now it has taken this only Manish Pandey, my name here there, instead of putting that user ID. It means there is no account with this email ID. So I hope you understood the use of the change commit signature and how that works. We will talk about commit, amend commit, and push. We'll cover each and everything regarding this commit, amend commit, and push. So let me show you in UiPath Studio first. Here in UiPath Studio, you can see this symbol. It means you have already added this project to the local repository. Now, if you don't know about that what is local repository and what is remote repository, then you can go through the previous video. When you right click on any file or the main project, you will see this option commit. Now, what is this commit? Commit is a term used in the version control system such as Git. Commit is used to save the changes made to the project to the local repository. It means commit is used to save the changes locally. In UiPath Studio, when you work on automation project, you regularly save your progress in a version control system like Git, right? When you commit the changes in UiPath Studio to a Git repository, it means in your local repository, you are actually saving your project to the local repository, including any modification you have made to the files such as workflows, your configurations files. Now let's say this is the changes that I have made and I want to commit this. I want to save this progress to the local repository. So what will I do? So first I have to save this. Let's say I'm just making any changes here. So first I have to press Ctrl S, and then once you will save this project, you will get this pencil, this icon. It means this is ready for the commit, ready to save that locally. It means in your local repository. You can see it here. There are two options here. This is for push and this is for commit. Now right click on this project, click on commit. Now here you can see the commit changes window. When you commit the changes, it will create a new version of the file with the changes included. And when you commit the changes, you need to provide a commit message, and that message should be concise and informative, and that should be clear so that other team members can understand the purpose of committing this one. In local, only you have the access to the file, but once you will move the changes to the remote, then other team members can access that one. So that time this will be very important and that will be very beneficial for the other team members to understand the changes what you have done. Why committing is required? Why saving this file to the local repository? Why that is required? This is required basically if you forget to commit the changes, if you are not committing that to the local repository, then your data will be lost. You will not have the backup of this file. So here in the commit message, we'll write like added for each file workflow. Now after that, you need to click on commit. So there are three options for now. You can see commit, amend commit, and commit and push. So for now, we'll click on commit. And this commit will save this changes locally in your local repository. Now we'll talk about amend commit. Now what is amend commit? Amend commit is used to modify the most recent commit. Now let's suppose you have made some changes to your project in UiPath Studio and you commit those changes to the local repository. Now, after committing, you realize that you forgot to include a log message activity or any activity in the previous commit, or you want to update the commit message to provide more details on the changes. Now, to update or amend the previous commit, you can first make the necessary changes to the project files. So let's say in the previous commit, I forgot to add one more workflow. So this one I wanted to call, but I forgot that time. Now I just made the changes. Now I will save this one. Now once you save that, you can see there are changes here. Now again right click on this project, or you can do it especially on that file and click on commit. Now here we have an option for the amend commit, and you can see the tooltip that message amend previous commit. So check this checkbox, and once you check this checkbox, you see this message that is added for each file workflow, and this commit message we entered previously. Now I want to either modify the only commit message, the previous commit message, just to explain better, or I want to add few things like activity or any file which I missed to add that in that previous commit, right? So now I can do both the things. I can modify the commit, and also I can add that any activity, any workflow, anything I can modify here. Now let me just modify this commit message added for each file. Let's say I did some mistakes, so I will also just modify this added for each file workflow and calling main workflow of for each, right? This one I just added this one. Now after that we can click on commit. Now what happens after entering the message and click on commit, your most recent commit has been amended. Amending a commit is done on your local repository, and it doesn't affect the commit history of your remote repository until you push the changes to the remote. Now if you want to verify that commit we did recently with the amend commit or with the commit, you can right click on this project and click on show history, and here you can see this one added for each file workflow, and after that we amended that commit and we added that message like calling main workflow for each. Now you can see we do not have two version. Why? Because we just amended the previous commit, so that's why we are getting only one message. We don't have two messages, right? Now it's time to move the changes to the remote repository, and for that you can see we have option push. Now what is push? Push is a term used in the version control system to upload changes made to a local repository to a remote repository. Now after committing your changes to locally, you can push them to the remote repository. To push these changes from local to remote, you need to right click on this and click on push. Or second option, you have this button here. You can click on that. So you can click on any of these options. So click on this push here, and now you can see it's pushing the changes to the remote repository. And this is always done from local to remote repository. Now just go to this GitHub and open that repository, and then just refresh this, and then you will see the recent changes that we did. Okay, you can see here this has been modified, like uploaded by this user, and this is the commit message. When you commit the changes, first it stores your files locally, and only you will have access to that one. And when you push that files from local repository to the remote repository, everyone can access the file based on the visibility set to the repository, that can be private or public. Now this is the complete tutorial of commit, amend commit, and push. So you heard two words, local repository and remote repository. Now what is local repository? A local repository is hosted on a local machine for an individual users, and it is local folder that resides on your local machine. When you initialize a Git repository, it creates a hidden Git directory that you can find like .git that inside your project folder. So here you will see that. Let me open this project folder from this file explorer, and then here you will see that .git folder. To see that Git here, click on this view menu and then click on hidden items. So here you will see that hidden folder that is .git. Now what is remote repository? A remote repository is the place where your code is stored remotely, and that could be your repository on platform like GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, etc. Or it could be completely different server. Now let me show you how to initialize the Git first. First, we are going to create our local repository, and then we'll able to move that to the remote repository, right? So first, understand the concept, create a local repository, and then that repository you will move to the remote. So for that, we'll go to home, we'll click on Git init. So till now, there is no required to use any platform to connect your project with the GitHub or any other source control platform. So first, it is asking you to select the current project. So our project is this one, first process underscore git repo. We'll select this parent folder. This is the main folder. Now once we'll click on that, you will see here we are getting all the files which is by default checked. We have option select all. So by using this, you can select all these files, select none, nothing will be selected. You will click on that, right? Now select all to select all this. So unversioned files. So if you uncheck this, there is no file here because these are unversioned. We have not even not created anything, right? Currently we are going to initialize. This is the first step. So we'll go with this. So unversioned files. There is no version created for this project. So we'll check this first. Now here we have a commit message. And what is commit basically? Commit means you are going to save this file, save this project and the files to the local repository. But before committing, you have to enter the message, and this message will help for the tracking changes purpose, right? You remember the features of Git. So for that you have to put here the details of that, like why you are going to make the changes. So first time I'm saying that, it's the first time you are saving this one. Now here we have three buttons: commit and push, commit and cancel. Cancel, you know that this is just it will just cancel this process. Now commit. Commit means it will save this project to your local repository. And now the third one, we have commit and push. If we'll directly click on this, so it will not only save the files, these files to the local repository, but also it will help you to push these files to the remote repository. So mostly people choose here commit and push, directly like save that files to the local repository and push that to the remote also. We'll click on commit first. Now you can see here, once you click that button, that commit, you will see few changes on your project. You can see here, this is the icon and this icon, and once you right click on this, you see few options available here. Now just to verify that local Git repository is created or not, you have to go to your project folder, and then you can see here this is hidden. If you click on this one, you will not see, but once you click on hidden item, this checkbox from the view menu, you will see this git and it has few folders and files available. Now the next step, you have to create a repository on this platform. So you can see here we have a button to create a repository. Now there are other way also. The first is this. Second, you can see here in the center of this page. Third, you can click on this icon and then go to this your repository. or your profile, you will get, and then you will get option here, this repository, and then click on new, and then you will able to create a new repository. Now let me go back to the home page. Now we'll just scroll down a little bit here in the between, and then you can see here we can enter the repository name, and then we can create a new repository. Now what is the best practice of creating a repository in the GitHub? First, the naming convention. The naming convention for your repository depends on various factors, including the nature of the project, your organization's naming conventions that your company follows, and the personal preferences. Always choose the meaningful name of your repository and make sure the name accurately reflects the purpose or the focus of the project. You can create multiple repositories here based on your requirement and based on your projects. Let me put here name. Try to use lowercase letters and hyphens or underscore to separate the words. So let me put here, let's say I'm going to say UiPath underscore. So I'm going to put a space. So instead of putting a space here, I'm going to put here hyphen, this underscore. If you are not putting any underscore hyphen and you will just put a space here and then anything, so what will happen? Automatically this space will be filled by hyphen. You can see it will be created like this, UiPath hyphen D. So better I can use like hyphen D or underscore. So I'm going to put a name here, UiPath underscore first GitHub repo. Okay, or you can put like first GitHub repo, just like this, right? So this is my first repository name that I am going to create. Now here we have two options, that we have public and private. If you want to keep this repository private, then you can select this. Otherwise, if you want this repository to be accessible by public also, so you can click on this public. Now I'm going to select this public and create new repository. And you can see here the repository has been created here now. We'll learn about how to use pull rebase and what is this pull rebase in UiPath GIT. Let me open UiPath Studio. So in UiPath Studio, so let's say we already have this project added to the local repository. Now if I right click on this project, you can see here we have option pull rebase, and by looking at this icon you can see pull, it means you are going to download that, right? Download icon. So the pull rebase is used to pull the contents from the remote repository to your local repository. The content, that is your data, that your files which is available on the remote repository. So you can see this is the remote repository that we have, and these are the files we have currently. So if I want to get the updated data, updated files from the remote repository, I can use pull rebase. So let's say there is a project where the multiple team members are working on that. So one team member is working on the login to that specific application. Second is working on the navigating to the one of the web browser, one of the portal like that. Other is working on to integrate with the database like that. And every time whenever they are just making changes to that projects, they are pushing that changes to the remote repository, and then now you are also working on that project, and now you want to work on updated project. Here let's say currently the file that you have, which has only this invoke workflow and the log message and this invoke workflow for each file and folder. Now if you'll see in this remote repository, you can see let's say there are multiple things already added by other developers, right? And you want to just fetch it, you want to pull it from this remote repository to your local repository. So pull rebase is basically to pull the updated files from the remote repository and update your local repository. It creates a synchronization between your local repository and your remote repository. So we have option here just for the testing. What we can do, we have this option. If we'll go to this in GitHub, if we'll go to this remote repository, we have this add file, and then we can click on upload files. click on choose your files. Now I'm going to search for any project files. So let's say I'm going to take this one. There's two files. I will take this. Okay. Now what will happen? I'm going to just write like add files via upload and then add an message like added integrating with ChatGPT files. Right. Now I'm going to sign off. So these two files will now upload it to this remote repository, and for the demo purpose you can understand this as some other team member who is working on this project, they have uploaded this YAML file. Right now for me, I want to pull this updated like all this data, and then I need to modify there. So I will right click on this project, click on pull reverse, and once I will click on pull reverse, you can see retrieving. It's going to retrieve the files from remote to the local repository. And now if we'll click on this project folder, and this is your local repository, and you can see it has automatically added those files to the local repository. Right now this is your current version, and now you can modify this one, and then you can again after modifying you can commit and you can push that to the remote repository. We will learn about how to undo the pending changes in Git in UiPath Studio. Before committing the changes to the local repository or pushing the changes to the remote repository, we have an option to undo the pending changes. We'll cover each and everything regarding this undo, how to undo the pending changes. Sometimes what happens, like you are working on the project and you did some changes there, right? You also save that, and now it is considered as a pending changes. Now normal undo like control Z will not work in that case. You have to undo that one. So now in UiPath Studio we have an option to undo the changes, but you have to understand each and everything, like what happens if we add some files to our project, what happens if we delete some files from our project by mistake, and now I want to undo that changes. I want to get that file back. If you are adding the files, now I don't want that file in my project. I want to delete that, or I want to undo that one so that it should not be added to the local repository in my commit history. If you want to understand each of these topic, then you have to watch this video till the end. Now let's start. Let me open this in UiPath Studio first. So here you can see this project we already have in local repository and remote repository. So first we'll start with the simple things. Let me just modify anything in this main workflow, calling for each file, adding comments. Now here this will not be showing as a pending changes until we are pressing Ctrl S or we are saving these changes. So we'll save this, and now once we'll save this, you'll see this pencil icon that is showing that pending changes. You can also see it from here, one changes. It means this changes is ready to commit. Now you don't want to commit this in the local repository. So before pushing this to the remote repository or to the local repository, you want to just undo this one. So how can you do that? So we have this option. You can right click on this project and click on undo. Once you click on undo, you will get this window, undo pending changes. Here you can see this file has been automatically selected because only in this main YAML file we modified this log message, right? If we'll modify in any other also workflow, then we'll see all the list of workflow which has the modification. Now if we'll click on this right side, you can see this option that is show changes. If we'll click on that, you will see here. So let's understand here. It shows that this color means this has been modified. If you see this color, it means that file or something has been, that activity has been deleted. If you'll see this color, it means that a specific file or any that has been added here. Now based on this color, it shows that this has been modified. This main XML file has been modified. Now what has been modified? First understand this one, latest and local. Now this is the latest file which is available in our UiPath Studio here. It means which is already available in our local repository. It shows that we have this UiPath GitHub main sequence. We have log message, workflow file, invoke workflow, and this invoke workflow. These things. Now right side you can see in the local we just made changes, right? You can see here also we have log message, everything, but the changes we did, it is showing here the modified color. It means it has only been modified in this log message. Now if we'll come to this here below, modified property log message, right? In this you can see in the latest file that we have in the local repository, the message is calling for each file in the basically log message. Now what is the changes now in the local? That calling for each file, adding comments. So this line has been added, this text has been added now. So this is the thing, that this is the message that we have added. So you can see here. Now if you want to keep these changes, you can just close this and you can keep it. Now just close this one, and you think that this we want to undo the changes, we can click on undo button. And once you click on undo button, you can see that comment has been removed. Now let's say I'm going to add one activity, say this right line. I'm going to save this one. Okay, now go to project and you can see this has been modified. Now right click on this, go to undo again, click on this, click on show changes, and now you will see the different color that is added. It means we have added one activity. If you'll add one workflow to this project, then also you will see this one, this green color, which shows that it is added. So in the latest, like earlier, this right line was not there, that activity was not there, so that's why it's showing as blank. But here now in this local, currently in this local, we have this right line activity added, and now it's showing as a green color. So if you want to keep this one, you can keep, otherwise you can click on undo. Now before clicking undo, I want to show one more thing here. So let's say now I'm going to delete this workflow. Now you can understand, like, this has been deleted by mistake. Now you want to get it back. So you will right click on this, click on undo, and now you can see here these two files, the main file where we have added one activity, and the second file which has been deleted. That you can see the icon that shows it means this has been deleted, and here we have modified. Now if we'll click on this for main XML file, you will see this activity has been added and showing as a green color. If we'll click on this and click show changes, you can see here this has been deleted. It means showing everything in the red color, this color. This has been deleted. Now if you want to undo this, it means you don't want to delete this, you want to get this file back here in this our project, then you can just click on undo. Now if you don't want to undo this main YAML file, so based on your requirement, might be you have already modified your project, right? You have added one activity, you have added some comment, you have modified your assign activity, you have added some value to that assign activity, you have just used data scraping things, you have added any click activity, type into activity, that you have already captured the element, you have modified the selector, everything is already done, but you have not saved the changes, you have not committed that. But now let's say by mistake in between you have deleted any workflow. Here we have an option, we can first go and show the changes. like what changes has been done here and which one you want to undo. So let's say this I have deleted, this one I have just added one more activity. Now I'm going to add one workflow. So right click, click one sequence, create that. Now I have just now added one workflow. You can see the plus symbol. Now right click on this, save this first, right click, click undo. So this has been added here. Now if you want to undo this, so see what will happen here. I don't want to keep this sequence YAML file. I want to just undo this one. It means that should be deleted. So I'll click on undo, and now you can see what is happening here. I have clicked on undo and selected all. So it means this file, this serialized JSON file, we have already received it because we clicked on undo, and this was already deleted, right? But we clicked on undo, so now we got this file back. So I hope now you are clear with this undo pending changes. We are going to discuss the concept of branches and manage branches in UiPath GIT. I will also walk you through a practical example to show you how to create branches, switch between branches, and delete branches. First, let's understand what is branches in Git. A branch is a version of the repository that diverges from the main working project and continue to work on the project independently without affecting the main code base. In simple word, we can say in Git, a branch is a separate, or you can say a new version of the main repository. And the default branch in Git is main or master. So in UiPath Git, you can see main branch. Now let's understand why do we need branches. When multiple developers are working on the same project, branches allow them to work on different features or fixes simultaneously without conflicting with each other's code. Different branches can represent different versions of the projects, such as development, QA, and production, etc. This helps in managing releases and ensuring that only a stable and tested code is deployed to production. You can create a branch to fix bugs independently from the other ongoing development work. In case of urgent bug fixes that need to be deployed quickly, a hotfix, or we can say quick fix branch, can be created from the main branch, from the production branch, and the fix can be applied, tested, and merged back without disrupting ongoing development. In UiPath Studio, if you see here in the bottom, this is the repository name. You can see Git repository, and this is the branch. If we'll click on that, you'll see here we have only one branch available right now, that is main branch, and you can see origin/main branch. So this is the main branch. Here we have list of options: manage branches, refresh remote branches, push, pull, manage remotes, sign out. So few of things like you have already learned from the previous video. If you have not seen those videos, please go through that. Now let me show you how to create a branch. Branch can be created from UiPath Studio and from GitHub as well. So first I will create the branch from GitHub. You'll open this, log in into this. If you don't have an account, create an account, log into this one. If you don't know how to do this one, go and search that video in the playlist, and now come to this, So this is the dashboard. Here we can see UiPath underscore first GitHub hyphen repo. So this is the repository. Click on that. Now the default branch that we have is main branch. Somewhere you will see master branch. Okay, if you click on that, if you have any other branches, you will see here listed, and main is the default branch. Now let's say there is a project on which you need to do some enhancement or you need to do some quick fix. Then the code is already available in the main branch, and instead of modifying directly in the main branch, you must create a different branch called development or dev, anything which is valid. You can create that and you can clone that this code to that branch and then work on that, test that, and then merge that development code with the main branch, and then you can move that package to the orchestrator, to the production, right? So first we'll create a branch from GitHub. We'll click on that and you can see here the label find on create a branch. So either you can find the branches which is already created or you can create a new branch. So we'll create a branch for development. So either you can write dev or development. So you can see create branch development from the main. So it means this, once we'll click on that, this development branch will be created from the main branch. So we'll click on that. You will see here those code, those YAML files and folders, everything is now available under this development branch. So while working on that, let's say you are going to download that, you are going to start working, just select your development branch here. Now this has been created. Now whatever changes you will do in the development branch. Whatever changes you will do, you will commit that, you will push that. You can come and verify by refreshing that. You can see all these commits, everything you can see. You can make sure that the changes that you are doing is not going to main branch. So it should be while making changes in the UiPath Studio, that should be selected. Okay, so this has been created. Now go back to UiPath Studio. From this branch, currently we can see main branch. Now if you want to get this branch here in your UiPath Studio as well, this is very simple to do that. Just click on refresh remote branches. It will refresh whatever changes that you have done in the remote. So click on that, and after that development branch has been added. You can see origin/development. Now currently we have main selected, and you will see here all this code here also. Now if I'll click on origin/development, so whatever changes that you have done previously, first you have to either commit that or undo that. It means without saving, without committing, you will not able to change that. So first what we'll do, we'll just commit, or you will right click or undo. Okay, undo that. I don't want to change this one. Now we'll click on main and switch between the branches. So select development. Now you'll see here all this data, the files available here, everything we can see now. Now we have created development. One thing I'm going to write here, I'm going to put here created development branch and take here one JSON, serialized JSON. Okay, so this we have added here. Save this. Once we'll save, we'll see the changes here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to make some changes here so that you will see that the changes is not going to the main branch. It's going to the development branch. Even the main branch is selected here in the GitHub. Only while making the changes to the code, you need to make sure that a specific branch is selected. Now we'll save this, right click on this project, click on commit, update that commit message. Now we'll directly commit and push so that we can see the changes in the GitHub in the remote. So it's going to push the changes to the remote version. Okay, now we'll go back to the GitHub, refresh this. If you see here in the main, we do not see that a specific commit here, commit message, because we have not committed here in the main. We have committed to the development. So we'll click on that, select the development, and now you will see the changes that here in the main YAML file. Now we changed that, we added this commit message. The other way to create a branch is from UiPath Studio. So what you will do, you will click on this, go to manage branches, and now you can see here the list of branches that we have. So current branch is development. Now I need to create one more branch. So I will click on add. Once you click on add, you can put that anything, like let's say this is for UAT. To create the UAT branch and take the data from development. If you want to take it from main, so you'll have to first select the main and then you will create that. But here we are working on the development branches and then we are moving from the development to UAT. So we'll do like this. So create from development. So this has been created. Now click on save. Now go back here and change to UAT, and you can see all this data, all these changes that we did is available here. Now how can you see here in the UiPath GitHub? And you'll see here currently we can see main and development, but we are not able to see UAT. Refresh this, we are still not able to see that. How can we see that changes, this new branch? For that we have to right click on this process and we need to push that changes. So even if you don't have any pending changes options showing here, but we have to push that, then only this UAT, this branch will be pushed to the remote branch, to the GitHub. Now this has been updated. Now go back to this GitHub, refresh that. Now click on that and you will see here main, UAT and development. So this UAT branch is now added to this GitHub. So anytime if you think you need to work on some bug fixes or you need to work on the enhancement, development, and the code is already available in the main, or you can say master branch, then first you need to create a different branch called development or quick fix, hot fix, something like that. Take the clone those files into that specific branch, so automatically it will get a copy of that and work on that, test it, check it, get it reviewed, merge back to the main branch. Now I will show you how to delete the branch. You will go to this GitHub, click on this, click on view all branches, and you can see here we have active branches, that is UAT and development. Your branch is UAT and development, and this is the default branch. Now we'll just go to this and delete, click on this delete icon, UAT. So this is deleted now. Let's go back to this main again, since this has been deleted, but we clicked on second one. Now click on this branches and you can see here UAT branch is not there. So this has been deleted. Now go back to this UiPath Studio, click on that, click refresh remote branches. We still can see this UAT. Now what you can do, go to manage branches, select this UAT and click on this minus, and this has been now deleted. You can see now we do not see that UAT branch here. We are going to learn how to create a pull request in UiPath GitHub, get it reviewed by a code reviewer or solution architect, and merge it into the main branch. Let's understand about the pull request. Pull request is a crucial part of collaborative development. It helps ensure code quality, facilitate teamwork, and maintain a clean project history. Understand this in a layman language. Imagine you are working on a project to automate SAP application, and before starting the development, you need to create a new branch for development called dev or development, and then you complete the development, right? Now after completing your development, after completing the changes, you proceed with the commit and push the changes to the that specific development branch. Now after that, you need to create a pull request with a detailed description of what you have done and why this is required to merge that code to the master branch, to the main branch, so that then that code can be moved to the production. Now after creating a pull request, the next step is to review the code. Now who reviews the code? Code reviewer reviews the code. And who is that code reviewer? So code reviewer can be a senior developer or a developer also who has the good knowledge of the complete architecture, the framework of that specific technology. It means on the UI path, or it can be a solution architect or anyone who is assigned as a code reviewer. Now what code reviewer does? So code reviewer reviews the code and provide the feedback if needed, else he approves the pull request. Now after approves the changes, the pull request is merged into the main branch called master branch. So that development one will be merged with the main branch. Now what is the benefit of doing this one? The benefit is your code is thoroughly reviewed and tested before being integrated. Second, the team benefits from the code reviewer's experience and ensuring high quality code. Team receives valuable feedback and helping improve their skills. And the main code remains stable and high quality with a documented history of changes. By using pull request, team can maintain a high standard of code quality, collaboration, and ensure that their projects progress smoothly and efficiently. Now let's do it practically. So in UiPath Studio, so let's say here this is our project. So let's say I just need to complete the login into this SAP application. I need to develop that part. So let's say what I'm going to do. I'll go to new, click on sequence. I will say launch and login SAP. So SAP underscore launch and login. So this is I'm working on that. We'll create one workflow. We'll go to this, and for now I will just take here one log message, and here we'll say SAP launch login started. We'll set log label info, and here we'll complete our development, whatever things we are doing. Let me add one more thing, and here we say okay, now this is done. So let's assume our development is completed for SAP launch and login. Now after that we'll save this. Now once you save the changes, you can see here two changes pending here. Now we'll go to the project, we'll just commit this. launch and login SAP completed, right? And then we'll commit and push. Now this will move to the development. So we already have a development branch created. We completed that, right? And we have moved the changes to the development branch. Now we need to create a pull request to merge this development code with the main branch. So we'll go to the GitHub, we'll refresh that, and then we'll go to the branch, select development. Now you can see here we says that launch and login SAP completed. Now if you'll go to the main branch, and now if you see we do not have that commit here because that is not merged yet. So we'll go to the development, and now we need to create a pull request. So how to do that? So for that you can see here we have option pull request. So we'll click on that, and now we'll click on new pull request. Here you can see the base and compare both is showing as a main. We can leave as it is main, but we'll compare with the development. Change that to development. Now once we'll change that, you will see the changes that you did, the commits, launch and login, SAP completed, and you can see everything is showing here, right? Now what we'll do, we'll click on create pull request. Here we already have a title. If you don't have, you can put a better title here so that code reviewer can see what you have done, and then you can put a description what you have completed. So launch and login SAP development completed, or anything else if you want to write, you can write here, and then we need to click on create pull request. Now once we'll create a pull request, so based on the settings, based on the rules, you will get here some message like, let's say, pull request created, and then waiting for code reviewer to review that code. Here we do not have any rules set up like that. You can see here this branch has no conflicts with the base branch. Merging can be performed automatically. It means we do not have any rules set here to reviewed by any developers or any code reviewer. But if you are working in a company, there you need to basically add that person, that code reviewer email ID, and that request will be sent to that specific code reviewer. Now that code reviewer will review that code, they will see that, and then they will click on that approve, right? Once it will approved, then you will get this message that ready to merge. Now we'll click on merge pull request. Okay, now you need to click on confirm merge. Now once we'll click on confirm merge, this has been merged with the main branch. This commit into the main. Now you can see this has been merged with the main branch. If you think that you did mistake, revert that. So you need to again create a new pull request to revert the changes. So again code review or someone will approve that, the revert, then you will be able to revert that. Now here you have successfully merged the code to the main branch. Now the next step, after merging the code from development or from any branch to the main branch, the best practice to delete the branch. So we'll click on delete branch. So what will happen? The development branch will be deleted. So we clicked on that, and now this has been deleted. If you want to restore that, you can again restore that one. And now you can see here launch and login SAP completed. This has been merged, right? This workflow has been added now. Now also you will see the development branch has been deleted. So best practice is always delete the branch once your work is done, you merged with the main branch. And now after that you can move that code to the production, like you are ready to publish a code to the UiPath orchestrator and then use that package. We are going to explore the concept of show changes in UiPath Git. As you know, So changes is a feature of Git, and Git is a version control system which helps you keep track of all the changes you make to files. Git tracks changes at the file level. When you modify a file, Git records these changes and allow you to view them before committing to the repository. Now, what does show changes mean? Show changes allow you to view the modifications made to the files in the project. In Git, show changes feature shows the difference between original version and the modified version of the file. It helps you understand what modifications have been made to the files. Let's understand with a simple example. Imagine you are working on a UiPath automation project. You pulled the latest version of the project from the remote Git repository and started working on it. After a few hours or end of the working hours, end of the day basically, you plan to commit and push the changes to the GitHub. It means to the remote repository. But before that, you want to see what exactly has been modified and ensure that modifications are correct. As you know, we are human and we make mistakes. So we might have deleted any activity or any code or any workflow from the project that will impact our process. So in this case, show changes will help us viewing the changes we did in the file. Now let me show you how to use show changes in UiPath Git. Now before making any changes, let's ensure your project is already tracked by Git, and that you can see by looking at this one. You can see, if you can see this icon, it means you are already using this Git. You can see here the repository name, the branches. So this shows that you are already using Git. If not, then initialize a Git repository and then you can make some changes and then you can use the show changes. Now as we have already initialized the Git here, so let's make some changes to the code. We worked on the launch and login, SAP launch and login previously. So what I'm going to do in the main workflow, I'm going to just call this. Okay, so one modification I did here. I'm going to delete this for each file and then I will go to this log message. I will just modify this log label from info to error. Now to view the changes in Git, we have to save that first. So save this, Control S. There are two ways to use show changes. First, by going to the modified files. So in this case, we have modified in the main XAML file. If I'm going to modify in this launch and login here itself, so let's say I'm going to take here one SAP login, this one. I added this. Now I'm going to save this. Close this, save. Now we'll go to the project. Now in this case, we have two files which is modified. I will go to any one file. Let's refresh this first. Right click and then wait for some time. In few seconds, you will see this option enabled. This show changes. You can click on that. Now second way to view the changes, close this, go to this panel, see the two changes, click on that. This will show a list of all the files that have been modified. So main YAML file we modified and then we modified this SAP launch and login YAML file. Now click on the file. So we selected main YAML file, or if you select this anywhere, and then right side you can see this icon which says that this is show changes. Now click on show changes and this will open a comparison view showing the original version on the left side and modified version on the right side. So there are three colors we can see here, and what is the meaning of these colors? You can see here below: added, deleted and modified. Additions are highlighted in green, Deletions are highlighted in red and modifications in yellow. Now you can look into this and then you can verify that. So let's say earlier we had log message. If you click on that, you can see here also we have log message that is not deleted, only that is modified because the color is yellow. You can see here the log label has been changed. Earlier it was info, now changed to error. If you think that this has been done accidentally, this is not intentionally, then you can undo this one. Second, we'll go to this. So we have option go to previous and next like that. We will click on next and it will directly go to this next modified file. It will not go to this one. It will go to the next modified one. So you can see earlier we had a for each file in folder this in the main YAML file. This invoke workflow file is now not available in this local one. Means this has been deleted. This is showing in the red color. Now click next and this is going to the third one which is showing in the highlighted green color. So it shows that here earlier it was not there in the original version. This was not there. Here we have added separately. So this is additionally we did that. So if this is correct, if we think that this has been added, then this is okay. Now what we'll do, we will close that one. Close this. Now we realize that this has been changed accidentally. So what we can do, we can just change back to the info. And now you can right click, click on commit and put your commit message. Anything, whatever you want to put, you can update that and then you can commit that. Now what is the benefit of show changes? Before committing changes to the repository, developers can review the modification to ensure they are correct. And this helps in maintaining the code quality and preventing accidental changes from being included. Next, when working in a team, showing changes is vital for communication. Team members can see what changes others have made, discuss with them, and provide feedback, ensuring everyone is on the same page. We are going to explore the concept of solve conflicts in UiPath GIT, or you can say resolved merge conflicts in UiPath GIT. In Git, conflicts occurs when multiple developers are working on the same file, making some changes and trying to merge that. That time conflict occurs. And Git doesn't know which changes to keep. That's why this conflicts occurs. Conflicts, by listening this word, by hearing this word, you know, like conflicts, it can be between multiple peoples, between the two peoples. One person is saying something different, the other person is saying something different on the same topic. That time the conflict occurs. So same here in the code itself, on the one file multiple developers are working, and then this person is trying to upload this one, this person trying to upload this one, and then while merging it to the one, then conflict occurs there, and then someone has to manually solve that, resolve that conflicts, and then you can merge to the main branch, the master branch. So in this video we'll talk about that. I will show you each and everything. If you see my screen, you can see here there are two instances of UiPath Studio opened here, and they are same code. If you see here, we have here calling for each file the log message, and there is a workflow for each file. Here also same thing, but one thing you can see here difference, that is the repository. This repository is going to the Manish Pandey -dev. Second is going to the uipathrpa-dev. Why I have created this one? I have created a separate account, basically two accounts, so that I can help you to understand this easily. So in this case, you know that if multiple developers are working on the same file, so here we are going to do the same things. So that's why I have created separate account. This is for Manish Pandey and this is for UiPath RPA dev, right? And then both the developers will work on that. So in this case, we'll not be getting any issue like every time we need to sign out, sign in like that, because we have a different accounts. So this account is for Manish Pandey, that developer. This is for UiPath RPA team. Now, as per the best practice, you know that everyone has to create a separate branch for their own work, right? If the other team member is working on that, they will have to work on their own separate branch. Other team will have to create their own separate branch, and then while merging they will have to merge that to the main development branch, or we can say from development to main branch like that. So here also we'll do same thing. We'll go to the Git hub. Here we have main. Let me create one. So let's say first, this time I am Manish Pandey and I am going to create a branch for me so that I will work on this main file. I need to modify something. Now I'll click on this. I will put here, this is my branch. Like in the companies, people try to like put also their name and then say that okay, this is my branch, or like they will put some that use case name, process name, and then they can put something different which will say that this person is working on that. So I will say like this, Manish Pandey hyphen development branch. This is my development branch. I will create this. Okay, we create it. Now other developer team, they have also same work. They need to create a development branch for this one so that they can work on that. So they will also go back to the main branch, and that person, that team will also click on that and put here their name, UiPath RPA team development, right? And then that team will also create, or that team member will also create a branch. So there are two branches created here. We have main branch and we have just copied everything to the different branches. Now I'll just minimize that, and here we have two different codes. Now we'll click on main and then we'll just refresh remote branches. Same way we'll go here also, refresh remote branches. Okay, this is for UiPath RPA dev team. So I will go with this my development branch. Here this is for Manish Pandey, that other user has logged into this machine. So here I'm showing you in the same system trying to log in with a different account, but you can understand, let's say you are working in a company and two different developers are working on that. So they have their own laptop, they have their own accounts, right? They will just go with their own user ID and password and they will log into this GitHub and then they will connect, right? Same way we are doing here. So I will go to main and this time I will select my this development. Now if you see, I have the same code, log message and for each file. This team also has the same thing because both has pulled the code from remote main branch. So what I'm going to do now this time, I'm going to say okay, now I need to launch this SAP. Let me put something client, anything I can do, ABC for testing. Okay, I have added this one. Now I'm going to put here one log message that I will say SAP launch complete. So this is the changes that I'm doing here as a developer. Now I'm going to save this. Now click on the pending changes either here, or you can go to project, right click and commit and push, or I can do it directly from here also. So you can understand, like as a first developer I'm going to make changes, added SAP launch login workflow to dev1, you can say dev, or like to development branch workflow, that's it. And then I will commit and push. So these changes I have done, and I have pushed the changes to the branch called Manish Pandey hyphen development, to my development branch where I have pushed the changes. Now the other person, they have these changes and he is also going to modify something on the main workflow itself, and then he needs to also push the changes to the this specific branch. Okay, I will do one thing. I will go this way. I will take a log message, right? So every developer has a different way, a method to do the development. So here I will put like launch and login SAP started. I will say trace, right? I don't want to show this to the log label, so I will just put it at trace, and then I will just drag and drop this launch and login. I'll go to this. Now here I'm saying that I'm taking it from either variable. The previous developer, he has updated different things. He's just passing a hardcoded value, but here I'm working in my way as per the best practice. I'm trying to follow everything, so I'm going to take a variable and I am going to pass it. So for you can understand, this is a variable that I'm passing. I'm not putting hardcoded value. Now click OK. So this is my way to complete the development, and now you can see the pending changes. After saving, I'm going to merge, sorry, the post the changes to the this UiPath RPA team development branch. So added log message and calling SAP launch to main. Okay, now commit and push. So this I'm using because of different account. It didn't ask me to sign out and sign in again, because if you see here, this is UiPath RPA GIT. This is the one account. Second account I have created to work with the Manish Pandey -git. So there's a different account, right? So based on these two accounts, I'm using this one. Now both the developers has pushed the changes to their own specific branch. Now it's time to merge that changes to the main branch. Now I am a senior developer, or you can say a solution architect, and my job is to merge the changes, review and merge the changes. So I'll go to main. So in main we have only log message and these things. Now I will go and refresh remote branches first, so that like we'll have everything updated here. Now I will click on manage branches. First I'm going to merge the code from development branch to the main branch. So this person, whatever he has made the changes, I will just take it and merge to the main branch. Okay, so the first developer going to merge. Okay, merge. Now click on push. So this is done. Now I'm going to again main branch. Now this time we need to merge for this UiPath RPA team. We'll right click and then click on merge. Now this time once we'll click on merge, we'll get this solve conflicts, right? Why? Because first developer has worked on the same main workflow. You can see this is the sequence. The sequence you can see here, this is the sequence in the main workflow. So that developer also updated these things, and this UiPath RPA developer, that team member, he also worked on the same workflow, and that's why the conflicts occur. Now UiPath Studio is notifying us for the conflicts. Now to resolve the conflicts, first you have to understand this one. How you can resolve that, let's understand here. So this is the remote which is already has been pushed to the remote branch, sorry, to the main branch in the GitHub, and this I'm going to move now. This I'm going to update. So we already have a log message. SAP launch is already there, but in the local this log message is not there. This is deleted as per the code, it says that this is deleted. In the local, this is deleted. This has been added. SAP launch has been added and the log message added. Here you can see the arguments also. In argument added, and here it was ABC, right? So you need to decide here. If you click on that, you can see these are now not available here and this has been added. So you need to manually resolve this by choosing that left or right. Now how can you choose that? So on top you can see we have option choose left and this is disabled choose right. How we can enable this choose right? If we click on choose left, then left side this will be selected and then you are ready to keep this changes which is already in the remote. Now if you say no, I need this one, so you can click on choose right. Now click on save. Once we'll take choose right side, we need to put here the changes. So keeping log message and SAP launch workflow, and then I will click on commit and push. So what will happen this time? Two changes we did. So SAP launch and then after this one we did. So this changes I selected. Now let's quickly recap what we have done. We simulated a conflict by making changes to the same part of file, identified the conflicts in UiPath GIT. We resolved the conflicts manually and committed the resolved changes. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this video helpful, please like, share and subscribe. If you have any question or suggestion, feel free to leave them in comments below. Until next time, happy learning.